3, 2, 1. Woo! That was a pretty good one.
I think that was our best one yet.
I think so.
And we're all perfectly coordinated on that. Doing slow motion, Carly.
Okay, I'll play it back and do it.
You're gonna find out.
Time.
Yeah, we're all like.
Douche, douche, douche.
Now for our feature presentation.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of How About This Movie. Today we will be discussing the 2019 Netflix film, The Dirt.
There's no shout out for this movie.
It's true. There is no shout out.
Lots of good guesses, but nobody guessed the right movie.
It's true.
I don't think anybody should want a shout out.
Because that would mean they'd have to admit to having had seen this movie and committing an obscure scene to memory. Tyson. Who was in this movie?
Well, it was directed by Jeff Tremaine, who did the Jackass movies, and he also did Bad Grandpa. He also was the director of Robin Big and Loiter Squad. Lots of hilarious stuff.
Not qualified for a serious music film.
Yeah, basically, which he didn't make a serious music film.
No.
Which they probably should have made a serious music film. But the people who are in this movie is Tommy Lee was played by Machine Gun Kelly, credited as Colson Baker, his birth name. Nikki Sixx was played by Douglas Booth,
who played Boy George in Worried About the Boy in 2010.
Okay, I didn't see that. I wrote down almost nothing for these people.
Well, who are they?
Yeah. Vince Neil was played by Daniel Weber.
Who was in a couple episodes of The Punisher.
Looks so familiar. I could have sworn he was in something else, but I can't find it.
Mick Mars was played by Ewan Rayon, or Rayon.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We're probably butchering that name.
Yeah, I apologize. He was in Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Tom Zutot was played by Pete Davidson.
I was calling him Zoot Suit.
Zoot Suit?
I know that's not right, but I mean, that's what made me think of. Zoot Suit Tom.
Yeah. Pete Davidson is a comedian who's on SNL, stuff like that. Doc McGee was played by David Costabile, who was in Lincoln.
David Costabile is definitely one of those, oh, it's that guy from that thing kind of guys.
Yeah. And that's all I wrote down for actors. There really wasn't anybody else who stood out. So there was nothing there.
This is...
Use your imagination.
Much like the last movie we just did, it is a biopic of sorts about Motley Crue. It's pretty much based solely off their tell-all book, The Dirt. So, yeah, same name. And I mean, it's just an excuse for them to talk about their party days. I mean, that's how I kind of took it.
If it's told by them, I think it's just more of explaining that they were shitheads because that was the culture of the rock and roll scene in the 80s in California. And that's just like how things work. They exploited what they could get away with because they could.
Well, there is that part where Doc breaks the fourth wall and says that no band that he managed was ever as bad as Motley Crue. They just did it not because they just because they could. Like, they were worse than any band he'd ever worked with.
Yeah.
So they're terrible.
Yeah, they were a bunch of fuckheads, and it's the kind of culture that they were allowed to get away with and get fame for.
So, The Dirt is, for some inexplicable reason, told through narration through the whole movie. Just about. because everyone knows when you're watching a movie, you never know what's going on unless someone's telling. And it's not even good narration.
No.
I was gonna be It's not even good narration. It's
probably direct lines from their book then, right?
probably, but also it's like Nikki Sixx walking up to the window and he's like, and then I changed my name. Like, it's explaining exactly what's happening in the scene. It's not progressing anything. It's showing you and telling you at the exact same time. Why? Don't need a narrator if it's not going to do anything different than what the scene is telling you.
Right. Well, they couldn't rely on what the scene telling you anything because it was all poorly done. They wanted to make sure you understood what was going on because they didn't know how to tell the story.
It was... I didn't get it. I didn't get the narration at all. The fucking fourth wall breaks.
There's a ton of movies that do that and do it well. That will break the fourth wall, explain what's going on, and progress the story through narration that helps the storyline. There are movies that do that and can do it and make it seem like it's fitting.
Yeah.
This movie just couldn't.
I probably could have been okay with them doing it in this movie. I just didn't think that it was any good. We sat through this movie absolutely enjoying it for probably the first hour.
Yeah, first hour 15 minutes. It was fun.
There was not a moment where we thought it was a good movie. But we did thoroughly enjoy this movie. It was so bad that it was good. And then it just got worse. Like, I don't know what... Doug Booth, right? The guy that plays Nicky?
Yeah, Doug Booth.
I don't know if that's his real voice, but that fucking, like, yeah, man,
Yeah.
was shit. Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Then I shit my
we
pants.
were so badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Nikki Sixx.
There's no budget information, is there?
No, absolutely zero budget information. I couldn't find shit.
The Netflix movies do seem to be a little bit more limited on budget information, so that's fine.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it's whatever.
I bet you if this had a box office score, it would have lost money.
I bet it would have done well, because...
I mean, initially, opening weekend,
Yeah.
they probably would have made some money back, but overall, they wouldn't make anywhere near their fucking budget back. I almost guarantee.
Well, they were really smart, right? Because they didn't... Bohemian Rhapsody, everyone was excited about for like 6 months before it came out. I didn't even hear about The Dirt, except for one time before it came out. And then I forgot it was going to come out, and then it was just out.
Yeah, I didn't even know it existed until you're like, hey, we have to watch The Dirt.
Yeah. So they were smart. Like, they didn't really build up a lot of hype for it because they knew it was going to be shit. So people would be like, oh my god, The Dirt. This is if it had come out in theaters. Losing their shit, like, and then they'd go to the movie, and they'd probably love it.
Glam rock, 90% of it was awful.
Yeah. Like,
just because it was more of a visually inspired
Yeah.
musical genre. But some of the glam rock bands actually had like classical backgrounds or like blues backgrounds or jazz backgrounds, and they could actually fucking play.
yeah.
You know, like George Lynch from Dokken, one of my favorite
Yeah.
guitarists. He's fucking insanely good. Dude from Night Ranger.
Another problem, and this is directly from their book, so I'm assuming that this actually happened. They're describing their ideal singer, their Vince Neil, before they know of Vince Neil.
Mm.
And Nikki says, or they describe, and then they go see him play, and Nikki says, oh, I don't even care about his singing. Look at what he's doing to those chicks. Like, that's a huge problem.
That is like glam rock to a T right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care how it sounds, I care how it looks. That's what glam rock was.
Holy shit. Okay, let's move on. Where are we? Oh, favorite scenes. Oh, there was so many.
There was a lot of scenes that were just hilarious.
Like, before we get into that, I want to make it perfectly clear. Carly was not as much, I think, thoroughly enjoyed this movie for a long time. I just have personal problems with the people that are responsible for its conception and execution.
It's an awful movie, but we were entertained.
Yeah, it is in no way good. Yeah. Not writing well, not like directorial decision. Nothing is good. But it is a fucking blast. Tyson, what was your favorite scene in this movie?
Every scene that had a boob.
Every scene that had a boob.
That is my high bar for this fucking movie.
And there was a lot of boobs.
There was a lot of titty.
Anyway, what was your favorite scene?
I think the main part of the movie that actually felt like they were trying to tell a story and like show you what was going on, even if there was a little bit of narration, was when Nikki overdosed, went to the hospital, came back, and immediately shot up again. Like,
poor Nikki.
I felt like there was an actual like story being told during that part of the movie.
Yeah. Well, and there were snippets where like there was story being told. So much, they relied so heavily on the narration. It was crazy. But yeah, there was definitely parts where they were actually telling you a story about the band as opposed to just like different like party scenes.
Yeah, just like jump cuts to like all the shitty stuff that they were doing.
There was good scenes that had information in them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They were just few and far between.
This movie, I'll give you my favorite scene first. The party scene, right at the beginning, like it opens with Tommy Lee making a girl squirt on an entire party. That is brave.
That's a party right there.
Yeah. But I just mean like from a filmmaking standpoint, that is brave. It's one of the reasons it took the film so long to be made was because companies kept saying you have to cut that scene out of the movie. We're not gonna make it. Netflix was the ones that were like, fuck yeah, let's do it. They pay $16 a month to watch garbage. They'll love it.
It's true.
Yeah, take a shot at Netflix.
Take all the shots at Netflix.
No one is safe from my wrath today.
Oh! Sorry.
But I mean, it's like honestly, that is a pretty brave scene to make the fucking intro to your movie.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to pick something where someone acted their ass off, or like there was a serious. No one really acted their ass off.
There was like zero good acting.
No. See, and I don't even necessarily blame the actors. I think that those guys can probably act a little bit. It's just so poorly written.
They didn't have much to work with.
No, there was nothing there. I'm Nikki Six.
I'm Nikki Six. I changed my name to
That's
Nikki
not my
6.
name, Mom.
I cut myself and blamed it on my mom.
That scene was pretty fucking hardcore. It wasn't particularly good, but it was pretty hardcore. It's just like, yeah! Staring right in your fucking eye, just like, yeah!
Well, you know, you're not hardcore unless you live hardcore.
No, you're not hardcore.
Unless you live hardcore. The legend.
And the legend
of the
rent
was way hardcore!
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, those would be things that I would pick out as like a favorite scene. There's not like a real good like, scene. But yeah. Tyson, what would you score this movie and would you recommend it?
5 out of 10. No, I wouldn't.
Carly, did you have more you'd like to add? No. Okay, good. Carly.
Probably about the same, like 4 or 5.
Would you recommend it?
No.
Okay. Up until the point where we were sick of the movie, I had it at a 7. I'm going to bring that down to match you guys at a 5. However, this is going to be the lowest yes I've ever get. Absolutely watch this movie. But with the caveat that as soon as you're tired of it, just turn it off. You're not missing anything because you can Google this information. You could read their book. Like this information is not hard to find, and it's not presented in such a way that it's worth watching. That being said, I would say 50 minutes. The first 50 minutes of this movie is incredibly entertaining. You get to laugh at how bad the movie is, the terrible decisions they make, and some of it is actually entertaining, like for the purposes of being entertaining, not just because it's bad, haha, laugh at the bad stuff. Some of it's actually entertainment value. But just when you're done, just turn it off. Like, don't feel obligated to watch this movie to the end. Just put it on, laugh for 45 minutes, and then turn it off and never watch it again.
Pretty much just go on YouTube and look up best scenes from The Dirt.
Yeah, it'll be like a 35-second long video.
Mm.
Like, it's not good at all. But I 100% put my Daxton stamp of you should watch this movie for about 45 minutes on it.
It was a very specific stamp.
And it's probably only going to be used one stamp.
Probably like a large stamp,
It's-
because that's a lot of words.
No, it's really small font. Like, you have to get real close to read it. And if you don't press it real crisp, then it just bleeds and you can't read it at all.
So it's just like Daxton's smudge stamp
Yeah, pretty
at
much.
that point.
But yeah, absolutely. I would absolutely watch this movie. I would absolutely recommend someone watch this. I will never watch it again.
Yeah, I'm never going to watch
No.
this movie again.
But
This
I would-
movie was bad.
I might have to
Absolutely.
rewatch the intro because I don't remember that intro scene. But I think I was like using the bathroom or something.
Yeah, you did step out like right as I started it.
'Cause I don't remember that intro scene at all. Came into him yelling at his mom.
Mm-hmm.
That's not. So, Nikki's the first narrator.
Mm-hmm.
He narrates up to the beginning and then but if I'm really going to tell you this story, we got to go back to the beginning when I was just a happy little child. And then he's getting smacked the fuck out of by some dude. So it starts when Nikki is 8. Gives you a decent, boom, boom, boom version of his backstory. And then Tommy interrupts, a moment where there's, a silence right after Nikki changes his name. Tommy interrupts, geez, how much time is Nikki going to get on this movie? Direct line from the movie, in case you guys missed it. But then it starts at Tommy the day he meets Nikki. And goes and goes and goes. And then when they introduce Mick, they're just oh yeah, I'm dying. And then goes and goes and goes. And then it's Vince, and it's just the night after talking to them, there was no way I was going to join their band, but then I got a blowjob. And goes, the amount of time on each person is less and less and less. Why? Why? What makes you so special, Nikki? Your terrible lyrics? Your bad fashion? I don't get it. I don't get it, Carly. Fun facts!
Fun facts. We got some facts, and they're fun.
Fun facts!
They're facts and they're fun.
Yeah!
I got a fact. It's a fun fact! Got a fact.
Is that live wire?
Yeah.
Fun facts. This movie is so bad that when they were making up their lie about how the band met Vince Neil, they couldn't even have him sing a song that existed at the time. He was singing a song by Billy Esquire. What was it? I told you guys outside. The love something. Yep, that's it. It wasn't even out. They hadn't recorded the song.
Yeah.
You're making up the lie. Use a song that exists. That was not in my fun facts, but I just remembered.
Move it to banter.
Tommy and Nikki did actually meet at a Denny's, but it was not by chance, as it was portrayed in the movie. Nikki was done with London and had seen Tommy do some shows with Sweet 19 and had discussed starting a band with Tommy. So they actually met at Denny's with the purpose of having that conversation.
So there wasn't a girl just sitting in a booth by herself just waiting for Tommy being like, yo, what the fuck?
Nope.
Breakfast sounds delicious.
That does
It
sound pretty
really
good.
does. I had some waffles earlier. I want some more. I might fucking grate a potato. Make some hash browns, too.
Some hash brownies.
Not hash brownies.
Some
I don't have
hashish
any
brownies.
weed, unfortunately.
Vince Neil is not Motley Crue's first singer. Odine Peterson is. I do believe if you see the movie, the scene where Mick first shows up and shits on the guy, they say, or Mick says to Nikki, hey, hippie's not going to work out. And when they split with Odin, part of their reasoning was that he was too hippie for their band. So I think that gentleman in that scene, the unnamed guy, and I could be wrong, or it could have been said and I missed it, but either way, I think he was a nod to
The original singer?
The original singer. And then it took Vince Neil a fair decent amount of time to actually agree to join the band because he was in Rock Candy. It's a terrible name for the band. And the only other thing that I wrote down was that Doc was fired over promotion reasons, not because of him bringing Nikki's mother to a hotel while they were on tour. He never met Nikki Sixx's mother, according to what he says. He was fired because the band was upset that they were on tour and they were billed lower than all the other bands. And Bon Jovi got to use pyrotechnics on his stage show, but they didn't because that was, part of their essence as a band is they chose a music as their medium, and then we're all visual. Gotta have explosions and tight pants for music. So that's what I read. And then also the partner, what's his name? I didn't write it down. I think it's James or Jamal. It's not Jamal.
No, it's not.
Jeremy. I don't know. I think it was a J name. J names are hard.
True.
Was actually the band's more hands-on day-to-day manager. So I'm not quite sure what he did that pissed them off so bad that they cut him out of the film. He probably was just like, no, you can't use my fucking name. Don't use my fucking name. I don't want to have to remember that I was associated with you guys. I have another note here. It's not really so much as a fun fact as more of another critique of the movie. Is that it feels like the movie takes place over almost no time at all. You don't feel the passage of time in this movie.
Yeah.
Except for the only way you can really tell that time has passed is Vince Neil's hair gets long, Nikki Sixx grows a soul patch, and then Vince Neil meets a girl, gets her pregnant, she leaves him, their daughter gets sick, and unfortunately passes. That's the... Skylar, Vince Neil's daughter, is the only beacon of, a passage of time. This movie takes place over 15 years. And there's just no way to tell. It seems like... realistically, it seems like a couple of years.
I felt like it was like a 6-month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they left out a lot of the band's negative aspects. Which is the complete opposite of what I just said about Bohemian Rhapsody, where they didn't paint Freddie or the rest of Queen in this perfect light. They showed that they had flaws. Tommy Lee beat the shit out of his wife. Did 6 months for assault. For the record, Tommy Lee did 6 months for assault. Vince Neil did 19 days for vehicular manslaughter.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing you see Tommy do is punch a woman that was calling his mom the C word.
And punch a pane of glass.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So, they foreshadowed that he was going to beat the shit out of Pamela Anderson Lee. But then he didn't do it. Which is fine. I wouldn't have wanted to see that in the movie, because it would have been kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
But they just completely cut out that whole section of the 90s where he was one of the worst people on Earth. That's it. Follow us on social media. No shout out tonight, like Carly said. But if you would like a chance to win a shout out, or earn a shout out, be shouted out, be shat at.
That's wrong. That one's definitely wrong.
That one's not right?
That one's not right.
Okay, so ignore the last one.
When you comment the movie, comment if you want us to shout anything out, if you want us to shout out your Twitter.
Yeah, if you want us to plug your Twitter, or maybe you got a business, a photography
website,
Instagram or something, we can do that. I don't. Yeah, it's whatever. But you got to follow us at Jecll Studios on the social media. We post pictures, obscure pictures from the movie we watch, and if you guess it right first, you get a shout out. Comment down below what you think of Motley Crue, what your favorite Motley Crue song is, if you have a favorite. Mine's Home Sweet Home. It's not very good, but it's probably my favorite. Tell us what movies you think we should do next. And, like the channel if you like the videos and that stuff. That's all I've got. Anything else from you two?
Nope.
Nope.
Thanks for watching, and as always, later, creators. All right, well.
Next week?
Oh, I have no idea. Envy?
Sure. I'm sure we're gonna eventually watch that pretty soon.
But
Let's set it in concrete right now. Envy.
Envy.
Envy's our next movie.
Envy. And then Pride.
And then Gluttony.
And then Wrath. How many of the deadly sins can we name?
Sloth. There's only two more. Greed.
Poopy.
There's only one more.
Poopy.
It's not poopy.
Bums.
You should know.
What do we have so far?
We have envy, pride, gluttony, sloth, wrath, and greed.
Lust.
Lust! Our dicks are huge! Our dicks are huge! Our dicks are huge! Especially Carly's!